get started, maybe just a bit more right here. And what in regards to your international expansion, Alex?
Yes.
What are the targets? Can you comment a little bit?
Well, right now we're mostly focusing on US,
US.
and UK. In UK, we also have boots on the ground, and we work with
Yeah.
local business developers to build our portfolio over there. And we do lead generation campaigns. We go at events, so we're ramping up our presence there. In US, we have a historical portfolio and current relationships there in New York, in LA, in San Francisco. So we're just gonna be, traveling more and trying to identify new partners and new customers.
All right. Cool.
But we ended up these days with partners everywhere. I mean, we have partners in Denmark, we have partners in Holland, we have partners in other countries as well, and we do various types of collaborations together. For instance, in Denmark, we are right now about to do the second project. It's a health industry project with a local Danish company and also German companies in a consortium.
All right, cool. And can you mention the company names?
It's a teleconference, it's a telemedicine project.
Is it a bald guy, the owner of the telemedicine
company? I think so. I don't know. Yeah.
Because it was one company that wanted to go to Brazil, telemedicine, and I spoke with him. I just forgot his name now.
Yeah, okay. So maybe it could be the same. Right?
Yeah.
So we are expanding these types of partnerships, and we are focusing a lot into building a more efficient sales machine.
Okay. With some processes and...
Exactly. So right now we're pretty happy with it. Full CRM integration. Right now we're using Zoho for that.
Yeah.
Lead generation campaigns with a dedicated team. Closing focus with another team. We're also participating in international bids and also applying for international grants.
Okay.
So we are doing this for 1 year, a lot of improvements, and we are starting to see results. It's still slow, and especially when you sell to a big customer, there's a long sales cycle.
Yeah.
So that was a bit, unpleasant at the beginning, but right now I think we're on the right path.
Nice. Perfect. So we'll get started. I'll make an introduction.
Okay.
What I wanted to discuss here, let's see if I can understand my letters. Emerging technology adoption, emerging technologies, and global expansion. So we talk a little bit about how you're going to market. I always start with the big picture. So you tell me how you created Zitec. You're the co-founding partner, as I understood, and 15 years. So it's very, very nice. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about the customers and the problems that not only these customers, but companies in general, they are trying to tackle today with digital transformation. What does that actually means? And then I'll talk about the podcast. That we're talking about the working with creatives a bit can be very interesting. So I want to understand how do you guys work here at Zitec and make them work, so to speak. Having that creative edge, but also making sure that they are productive. And the methodologies, maybe, if you can comment on that. Maybe talk a little bit about the greatest issues that you see in our society nowadays and how technology can, help solve those problems. I think on the podcast you were also mentioning about on the hackathons some stuff about that was created for fighting corruption.
Yes.
And some really cool examples that you gave. And when you have a hackathon, maybe you can even pitch your hackathon here. Things that you try to accomplish and then follow up on that, because that's also a challenge. You create some cool stuff in 24 hours and then it just dies out, right?
Most of it dies, so it's quite difficult to have, especially internal hackathons, and to see the projects, continuing after that. I mean, if you ask everybody, all the guys in the specific team, say like, oh yeah, for sure, we're gonna be here, we'll start tomorrow, we're gonna build it so cool or so better, or we're gonna add a lot of features. And then it's basically nothing. But that happens most of the cases. But we do have a couple of examples where the hackathon does not stop and die when the last line of code is committed.
And then I want to ask you about also, well, you have investments in like instant factoring.
Yes.
I think there's another company also that is.
We have made so far about 8 investments.
Yeah. So why, understand why is it that you're also investing in other stuff than Zitec and get that kind of feedback from you? And then the future. How do you see what's the work of the future, and how do you see the future moving forward? So that's basically what I want to cover.
Sounds good. Let's start.
We'll see. If I make a mistake, I'll just go back.
Not a problem.
So, all right. So, hello everyone. This is Carlos again with Vince and the Evolve podcast. Today, I have the honor and pleasure to be joined by Alex Lapusan. Is that correct?
That's close enough.
Alex Lapusan, who's the co-founding partner here at Zitec. Zitec is a software house. Very respected. Alex as well, very respected leader in here in Central and Eastern Europe. We are in Romania, in Bucharest. So Alex, thanks very much for making time for this.
Thank you for the whole idea, and thank you for being here, Carlos.
Oh, absolutely. And I always start with the same question. I like you to frame the big picture. Why did you start Zitec? Give us the background and how how you guys made it.
You want the cool story or the true story?
The true story.
The true story. The true story doesn't sound that good. Basically, we had no business plan, no knowledge on how to build a company, no knowledge on how to build a team. No financial knowledge, just a bunch of engineers.
Yeah.
And we, two of the founders, we used to work at the same US consultancy company, and we got to be frustrated because anytime you came up with an idea, you ended up being told not to do it, or you're gonna do it by yourself, we're not gonna help you with a team or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the quality of the software, you kind of always felt like we can do a little bit better, but it felt like nobody else is resonating to that. So I realized that I was about to become the grumpy employee that spends a lot of time smoking in front of the office and just being, bitter and frustrated about how things are working at the company. I was like, okay, I don't want to become that person.
Smoking is a big thing in Romania, right?
Yeah, well, how is it in Brazil?
I think it's
not as bad.
Not as bad. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a smoker.
Well, I used to be at the time, so I quit 17 years ago actually. So that's okay. So at the time we said like, look, it's so easy to be a critique from the sideline. Everybody's the perfect football player from the sideline. And I didn't want to just stay in that comfort area, just talking and analyzing and criticizing others. So I said like, damn it, I'm just gonna start my own software company because I think there's so much better things that I could do and these guys are not doing. And therefore I opened the company, we put $3,000 in it and we started.
Nice.
Which is obviously it's a pretty dumb thing to do because for about 2-3 months we ended up only eating yogurt throughout the day because there was no money, because there were no customers. So I wouldn't advise anybody to do it like I did, but I'm not sorry because we were playing a lot of World of Warcraft at the time. So the agenda was packed. We were quite busy, farming somewhere in World of Warcraft. So.
And that was 15 years ago.
That was 15 years ago, a bit more. We're going to turn 16 this year, so a bit more.
Congrats.
Thank you. And eventually after that, through personal recommendation, former customers, former high school colleagues that were in Romania or abroad in US and UK, we started to be recommended like, okay, I have a friend, he can help you with software development. This is my guy, blah, blah, blah. So I got introduced to people in usually abroad, usually US, UK, Canada, and we started doing software development projects for customers, charging them very little. We were actually not even courageous enough to charge higher, but there was no benchmark, there were no podcasts, there were no YouTube videos. Now you can see an entrepreneurial conference book coach everywhere you look. So,
totally.
so I would say we had it the hard way, because everything we have learned, we learned on our own money and time.
Yeah.
And probably that's also one of the
So it's
best lessons that you can have, because it's easy to get advice.
Yeah.
You hear the advice, but you don't always,
internalize
it, because it makes sense, okay, and you're still gonna do the mistake. But if you get burned once, you get burned twice, then you're gonna say like, okay, maybe I should act differently. So a lot of learning, a lot of frustration, a lot of soul searching, like, okay, what type of company do we want to be? And then we realize, like, okay, prices in IT are going to always rise, because the demand is not going to go lower.
Right.
I don't see a future right now where everybody ditches technology and we move back to agriculture and farming. So I think a lot of IT is still going to be required. The technologies are moving very, very fast. Different types of frameworks, different types of needs sometimes of hardware that can be mixed easier with software compared to years ago. So it's a lot of learning and a lot of problem solving skills that you need to develop, so that you can act as a consultant in today's IT world. And therefore we decided to go for a strategy to go towards a premium price and provide premium services, as opposed to discounting and saying, yes, we're going to be a cheap service company in order to scale. So it turns out it was a good bet, because most other similar companies started or existing at the time are not on the market anymore, because the competition is fierce. You've got the Amazon here, you've got Microsoft here, you've got, you pick a name, a big company with a big IT team, and probably they have an office in Bucharest or in Cluj or in Timișoara or in Iași. So we fight with talent. We fight on talent with virtually the globe. But we also need to fight doing business development and finding new customers. Of course, a lot of the time that worked well, because we were smaller and we were recommended by our happy customers to other customers. But once you reach a certain size, you need to control your pipeline, your sales pipeline. You cannot just say like, okay, I hope I'm going to get a new project next month, because 4 developers are going to be wrapping up their project. You cannot manage the company like that. So you need to build middle management, you need to build a sales team, and you need to, we had to build that as we learned how to do it. So we are flying as we are building our first plane.
Right. I usually have this kind of framework here for the conversations, but then you start speaking and
it's a bit difficult.
My head just starts racing. And you spoke about the values, soul searching. I think this is, we are in a room here. There's a name, Star Wars room.
This is the spacewalk room. It's supposed to make you think about, having a chat outside the spaceship.
Cool. And so the office here, I want to ask you 2 things, and I have to say because I have to remember. The office here reflects pretty much and as I studied a bit, the values of the partners. So literature, maybe cinema. Can you comment on creating such an office space?
So I think you're correct, because we get this feedback like you overspend money doing your office, or people talk too much about your office and it's not that important. And yes, of course, it's not like the focus, like we are in business so that we have a nice office. But the moment you are actually true about your values, it's going to be difficult not to have them reflect in your environment and in your company culture. So for instance, for us, creativity is very important. Authenticity is very important. Courage is very important. These are like core values, and respect, not only to our customers, but first of all, to our team, to our ever-growing team. So the moment you do that and you realize people are spending maybe 8 hours, maybe more per day in the office, okay, happily we are not on the 996 from the Chinese companies, but still, 8 hours a day, it's a lot. So if you spend that much time of your life in the office, it might as well be a nice office and you might as well enjoy it. And the moment you will enjoy it and you will feel good about your work environment, I think you're going to be more empowered, you're going to be more courageous, you're going to be more relaxed, you're going to be stuff that actually helps you be more efficient. At the end of the day, it's about efficiency. But you cannot be efficient with unhappy people, with stressed people, with demotivated people. And the office is something that you can see and you can touch, but it's only part of our investment in all this, let's say, set of values. The style we communicate with the team, the way we organize our teams, the way we discuss with our customers, the way we accept or not accept requests from our customers. I think that's even the bigger part, but it's difficult to convey that, especially to somebody that does not know us. So, the first thing you see is the office, but it's just the tip of the iceberg.
Another crazy and amazing thing is the power of saying no. Right?
It is tough.
Yeah, but it's great.
It is great, but I'm not sure it's always working. This is something that we do because as we start as a consultant in a relationship with a potential customer, we are going to be as blunt with them and as open with them as possible. For instance, it happened in many occasions that we told the customer, do not buy this feature from me, do not ask me to build that because I don't think it's good for your business. You should be doing something else. And they're going to say, but no, I know my business better, so you shut up and build it. Okay. You build it, turns out you were right.
Yeah.
Customer returns. I have another crazy idea. Dude, I understand you want to spend money on ID, and how about spending it in this direction? No, I'm so sure this will work.
Yeah.
Have you validated that in the market with your customers? No, but I'm sure it's going to work. And they spend money again, and then you're like, dude, you are providing me work, and but the team here does not have that much satisfaction because we know we are digging in the wrong direction. So eventually you end up with a team that's partially demotivated. Second, you are hurting your business. So that means you are hurting my customer, my long-term customer. So if you spend your IT money in a smart way, your company is going to grow and I'm going to have a long-term partnership. So I don't want to take all the budget that I can squeeze out of you right now. I actually want to maximize the value that IT brings to your company because then maybe you will spend half this year with me, but you're going to be with this company for 10 years maybe.
Nice.
And we do have customers that are with us for 15 years, 13 years, 10 years. And that's the type of relationship that we are after. You cannot expect to get into such a relationship if you are not true about respect and about being transparent and about being open about options.
How do you find it?
How do you find what?
Those values. I mean,
I think
it might look like a stupid question, but being very blunt, how did you? I mean, I did a test before moving to Denmark, like a 360 thing, because I was really looking for, really understanding myself, my wife as well, but really because I was like, should I go for a job? And that short story I told you about the blog and blah blah blah. And then I understood some stuff about my personality. I'm a self-centered person, and so that is good and bad, right? So I have to be aware of some stuff, but I cannot expect that I'm going to change it. I had this chat with my wife the other day because she's more like the soul of the house, but together we are very powerful. So understanding those values that are immutable, perhaps, and how do you cope, So I wanted to understand. How did you find your values and
you mean how did we identify them?
Identifying, yeah.
So initially, many years ago, I would say 5-7 years ago, when we were first about, let's understand who we are, we started to do exercises within the company in like in a group of friends, like let's identify it. And we started with various techniques. Either have a huge extensive set of values. You pick like the 10 that you like the most. And then out of those 10, you filter and you pick just 5. Then it's just 3, and then you just pick 1. Like and then you look in the group and you see what's the overlap, and then you discuss about the overlaps and about the differences. And because it's difficult sometimes to change behavior there. It's possible. Some of the values are very, very difficult to change.
Yeah.
but you don't feel as strong about some of them. And again, it also depends on the understanding of values, because ethics are very different to different people. So I had situations where two people that consider themselves to be very ethical had opposing views on the same issue. So and then it's difficult, because if they consider ethic as being a core value to them, they will feel personally, offended. But guess what? The other person also believes he's very ethical, and guess what? He's also offended. So it's first of all about understanding what it actually means, and usually that means understanding the behaviors, because you can, as I said, understand whatever you want through it's ethical to do something, or it's unethical. But then the moment you start looking at behaviors, you will see that the understanding and tolerance suddenly is different. So this is how we started with an internal exercise. We kind of repeated that every year, and usually there were no changes. But then we realized like maybe we're missing something, and we went for an external consultant that specializes in this.
Nice.
And then he assisted us. He did interviews with this value set was done in the founders team and in the stockholders team, not in the whole company, because we said like we need to understand, we as owners of the company and we as managers of the company, who we are and what we want, because then we need to pay attention on who do we hire. They need to be compatible with us, otherwise it's a bad call for them and for us to join forces, but they applied a different methodology. They did interviews with random people they have selected in the team, because they wanted to pick up our behaviors, not only our identified values from values that we would put on a piece of paper. And it was not surprising that most of the values were kind of the same or similar, but there were differences. For instance, she insisted that we need to be proud and list as part of our values courage. And we were like, come on, we are a software company. What does courage have to do with it? And she explained us like, look, you started investing in a startup in US 9 years ago. You started to play with that technology when nobody was interested. You invested in that. You spent time on that. You want to be efficient and you want to be innovative, and of course innovation is there, but it's not enough to be motivated by innovation. You also need to have the courage to put some money, put some time, and risk something. So we said like, okay, it makes sense. Actually, that's who we are. So yes, we're going to list that in our list of values, and actually we're going to think a bit more about what we do in terms of, okay, is this courageous? Maybe it's too courageous. Maybe it should be more reserved. I don't know. So we have refined it, and basically this is the approach we have for everything. You start somehow, and of course you don't have maybe the best approach. You see some results, then you want to perfect it. You see what you did wrong, and you iterate and you get better every year, every month. There's no way you can do something, including an exercise such as this, in the first attempt. And you need to understand, we were coming from a area where we were 100% engineers. I mean, the type of guys that would say like, seriously, we need to spend time right now with values and mission, and that's just for the corporations and for that about page that nobody reads. That was our mentality 15 years ago. And then we understood why it's important to have that mission. How can that mission and that set of values help you when you have to take a decision? And if you don't communicate that to your team, how do they know if they can take a decision and if that decision is good?
Right.
Because if the team believes in those values truly, not like, okay, I saw them on a wall in the office, so I guess I'm going to have to play nice, that's not going to work. But if you truly nurture and select people based on those values, then they will be able to take decisions that are going to be compatible with your decisions. And you're going to say like, oh, I'm great, I did not spend time on that project because John or Sorin or whatever, who was allocated to that project, the owner of that project actually took the right decisions, and I would have I would have taken the same decisions should I have been there.
Yeah. So the question today is, like you said, you're fighting for talent, fighting young talent. You have the massive corporations. The two questions that I have is like, why Romania? And I'm a strong believer in this country. I think it's pulsing with so much stuff that is happening here, innovation, and also the growth you see in retail. So why Romania, and then how do you find talent?
Well, why Romania? I mean, nobody's perfect. We were born here, you know. Some people are lucky and are born into, you know, Western economies and they have rich parents. What can I say? Not everybody's perfect.
Yeah.
So we were born here, and yes, we could have, you know, moved abroad, starting from
Maybe I'll
university.
rephrase my question. I'm a big believer in Romania, so not saying any bad things about it. Why Romania, as in invest in Romania? Because you're a big believer as well in Romania. You have customers abroad, but you're here. And I see a lot of Romanian fellas, friends now that are, and I think Romania is the country, maybe Bulgaria and Romania, with a population that, you know, migrated the most. Right?
Yeah, I think Romania, it's unfortunately as a percentage right now, even beating Syrians in Europe. So in terms of
more like that.
So that's definitely bad, and because initially when the borders were open and EU happened, and even before that, usually it was people that had a really big incentive, usually on the negative side, to move abroad, like personal drama, maybe a clash with the system, maybe I don't know, they needed like health support, and the state health system was, you know, not delivering. But especially in the past 5 years, a lot of people migrated because they just wanted a better life quality and better politicians and better healthcare and better highways. And it doesn't seem right now that the current politicians actually are focused on those priorities. So the priorities that we see as citizens are definitely not shared by politicians. And I'm saying definitely not, because otherwise, in so many years, we would have seen some results. So, of course, we always look and we tend to trust the newcomers to the political stage, because at least, you know, you can hope that they are going to be different. And that's why they get a lot of support, especially from industries like IT, because, you know, you want to see better things for this country. And on the other hand, you cannot, you know, be upset, or you can be sorry for good, talented IT people and other like doctors and like, you know, really in-demand skills that actually move abroad, because they are also in demand in UK, in Germany, in Denmark. So, and they get a better quality for their life, even if sometimes their buying power is lower when they move abroad. They're going to be paid less. Okay, you're a Romanian coming to UK, you're going to get a good wage, but still it's going to be maybe under what a British developer would receive. But it's still fine for them, because they're going to say, you know what, but you know, I'm going to be safe driving to work, and I'm going to be taken care of in the hospital. My kids are going to go to a good school. And that's gets to be more and more important, especially once, you know, grow up a little bit, maybe get married, maybe have kids, and then your priorities tend to shift. Up until that age, probably Bucharest is perfect. Lots of fun, a lot of things to do, pretty nice space, interesting. You can also do sports, you can also do parties, you can whatever. You have the Black Sea, you have the mountains. It's pretty cool, and also close by destinations. It's easy to get to Austria, to Bulgaria, to, you know, so it's pretty convenient. So we really hope that the political scene will improve. And we hope that the corruption will be, you know, diminished as much as possible. It's never going to be zero in any country, but you would very much trim it, like 90% of it, you know, something like that. And I think then maybe we're going to have a good future as a nation, as a country. Right now, I would say we're not in the best spot.
Yeah.
And this also applies to our turnover rate, because we are still losing people, not because they want to go to a Romanian competing company, but because they will move to Amsterdam and be recruited by Booking.com, or go to Madrid and be recruited by Amazon. It's impossible to you know, to compete like that. It's like top brands of the world, top pay, and a Romanian small company that maybe nobody has heard outside Bucharest. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult, and therefore you focus a lot on getting new talent, especially students and graduates. Invest in them, and you hope and you do your best so that you keep them for as long as possible. But the risk of them saying like, screw it, I'm out of the country, can't take it anymore, it's there.
Cool. You're working with some very respected brands like PayU, Porsche, Depanero, Noriel. I mean, the list is very extensive here. Recently started working with the NHS in Scotland.
Yes.
Also the European Space Agency. And the question I have here is in regards to the buzzword digital transformation. What issues or challenges these companies and others are looking to tackle nowadays?
Okay, so I would say maybe these two specific examples are not connected with the digital transformation term per se. For European Space Agency, we are right now testing the space sensor, so it's a kind of an exotic project for us. It's actually a physical black box that we build with a physical device, moving in all directions and measuring information from a new type of space sensor. So that's like an exotic project, and we have managed to get that project because this was the third bid that we participated in for European Space Agency. So we wanted to get a project with European Space Agency since a while. This is our first win, and basically right now we are working on milestone 5, the last one. So we are about to successfully complete the project. It was a bit difficult, both because it involves building hardware, but also because it involves working with the researchers, and it's a bit different. They let's say are not in love with deadlines, budgets, and and for a private company it's difficult not to respect your budgets and deadlines. You tend to go bankrupt. So it's a quite challenging project, and the ones for NHS is the same. Coming back to digital transformation, we are basically doing this forever, because even when we started doing custom software usually for the back office of various companies, which meant understanding the workflows, understanding how we can automate that, and then building a solution so that it's more efficient. They have less need of human intervention or not at all. So, it was not called digital transformation because every year you tend to have a new buzzword, and digital transformation is definitely in season right now. But mainly this is something that we have been doing from the beginning. We're going to listen to you, understand what your business does, start asking a lot of questions, understand the workflows, maybe come up with suggestions like, you could change the way you track this or do that, because if we use this technology, you don't need to do it, or you could do it more efficiently. So that's the consulting part. And then, of course, you implement that and you make sure that the level of quality is as high as possible. Right. And we pay attention at all these levels because we believe otherwise it's not sustainable to deliver custom software just quickly and cheaply. That's only going to work for prototyping or for presentation websites, where a potential bug will not crash your companies entirely.
Nice. So having that in mind, I want to ask you about your investments. So let's talk about the investments. The fintech you're investing in fintech, and instant factoring, as I understood, is a platform that allows you to transform an invoice into cash in less than 24 hours. Is that correct?
Magic, yes. You put the invoice, you get the cash.
And why is that a big problem
Well, I cannot speak for other small companies in other countries, but I think there are plenty of countries in this situation. This was even our story. So we had customers in Romania and abroad. We were delivering a good job. They were happy, but they used to pay us at 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And then maybe you also have a problem, a mishap with one of the projects, and maybe you have a bigger expense this month. How can you finance your business? How can you manage the cash flow? And a big company will usually go to the bank. Get an overdraft, get a credit line, get some financial type of support, even factoring from a bank. But if you're small, you have a team of 3 in a small company, you're not going to show up on a bank's radar, and you are not profitable to them, so they do not cater to you. So these are the folks that we are trying to help through instant factoring. Small entrepreneurial companies that deliver a good product, but they have lousy payment terms from their big customers. And they don't have the negotiation power with the big customers to get better payment terms. So enter factoring, create an account, upload an invoice, you get analyzed in 2 hours, and in 24 hours you get the money in your cash account. So I think this is a great business because it has a good mission, actually helping the little guy out there. And so you don't feel bad about making a good profit because you know you have impacted positively their companies. Just to give you an example, we have one small mustard company from Romania.
Yeah.
And because they started doing factoring, they started to have more cash and they were able to work more, deliver more. So they doubled the production of their factory because we were supporting them with factoring products. So that's motivating. Like, that's not fintech, that's just good karma, you know. So that's why we basically said yes when we were invited to invest in instant factoring. We hold a little bit over 20% in the company, and we supply the overall fintech platform for instant factoring. Right now we're looking at other markets. First of all, nearby, we're looking at Serbia, we're looking at Croatia, we're looking at Poland, even if Poland has a strong ecosystem in factoring. But we're looking at other countries where the financing gap is huge. Look at Brazil, that's one case. And our recipe there is to have a local partner that is going to also put money on the table, be part of the management team, and they're going to get, like, I don't know, 20%, and we're going to provide the knowledge, the platform, the financing, everything, so that it looks like a franchising kind of a approach.
So these investments, and you mentioned you have 18 investments?
Eight.
Yeah. So these investments, they come usually from a problem that you face yourself as Zitec?
No, I wouldn't say. They are so different that there is no pattern. I think it was, again, a learning curve. We invested in companies that were already our customers, and they just needed a little extra or faster development, but they couldn't afford it. There were just new ideas that we believed in and we backed. It was just cash investments, active investment, passive investment, convertible notes, founding. We tried them all, which was a very good M&A training course. But again, as I said, on our own money. The good part is that most of these investments were actually also buying services from us for a while at least. Because, for instance, we have an investment in Zipango.com. It's based in San Francisco. And once they did Series A, they formed their own technical team based in San Francisco.
Okay.
So we helped them, we prototyped, we managed to get a couple of good customers on board. For instance, we assisted Zipango to get Google on board, but the moment they have done Series A, they moved into, okay, we're going to build a team here. Why? That's a different discussion. So again, we saw it as a very good partnership for this combination. A non-technical founder that doesn't have a technical team. They have the money, they have the business knowledge, but they need a technical partner. So you either go and find a technical co-founder, or maybe this could be a good, symbiosis.
Nice. I think we are on to, we are above 30. So I want to get your thought leadership on the future.
Yeah, okay.
What to expect. On that podcast I told you about, I heard it was 2014.
Okay, don't tell me what I said.
No, I won't tell you.
Did it come true or not?
No, it did. But, and then the year you were predicting was 2019. Quite.
Oh my God.
And I'm not going to ask you to predict the next 5 years.
You need to send me the link back.
It's pretty cool stuff.
Okay, damn, I didn't know. Look, next freaking Nostradamus is here, okay.
So what to expect for the next years in terms of what's the future of technology, future of work, and things like that?
Well, again, I don't know what I said back then, but I'm actually surprised I did that because I'm not such a big fan of, foretelling the future. I think that things are going to change a lot and they're going to change fast and faster. And I think that we need to leverage more the tools that we have right now. We have powerful tools. like cloud architecture, cloud services, IoT devices, and companies are not using these to, the maximum of their potential, not even far. So I would say existing companies should definitely focus on embracing the new technologies and reinventing themselves, which is going to be difficult for most of them. And that's a challenge. And we as consultants try to cater to that segment. Like, okay, now that you understood, you need to do it. We can guide you through that
Right.
with our competencies, which you don't have, and maybe you will build them internally. Because otherwise, startups or new companies emerging in that sector, they will start with the new approaches, the new technologies, and they're going to be faster, much more efficient. They're going to eat your lunch. So this is the situation I see, and I would stress cloud and IoT because I think right now they are both in a mature state. You have plenty of providers on the market. You can actually choose what fits your technical needs best. It's cost efficient, and there is enough competency out there so that you are not just going to risk it on a new technology and then feel sorry 2 years later. So I would say they are definitely mature technologies, but still not used to not even by far close to their potential. And I would bet on that. Apart from that, I think as people, we should just prepare for the unexpected, which means focus a bit more on critical thinking, focus more on leadership, on interpersonal skills, focus on learning.
What are the books you recommend?
Right now I'm reading Genghis Khan and how he invented modern world. And if you are into software development and methodologies and you are into organizing teams, read that book or get the audiobook because oh my god, like 1200 and the guy was building a lean, mean, war machine, but still, I mean, it's quite interesting. So that's the book I'm reading right now. But I would recommend, depends. So for non-technical people, I would probably recommend books in developing skills like Hooked or how to develop habits, or Steve Blank for people that are into building a startup, a technology startup. Please understand what customer validation and customer discovery means. Otherwise, you're just gonna, hit the wall. I would say if you're an entrepreneur and you want to build stuff, read Steve Blank. Should be your Bible. I don't know what else. I would also recommend another book, Extending Trust. It's a US book and it's written in that US kind of a motivational style. So it's an easy read, but a bit boring sometimes. But the message, especially for people in Eastern Europe, I'm not sure about Brazil, is that you cannot expect people to be efficient working with you or to trust you if you are not able to extend your trust first. Not to be gullible, not to be the sucker at the table, but if you do not trust your team and the guy next to you first, do not expect them to do the same. Why would they? And plus, you cannot be efficient as a manager like that because you're always going to pay a tax, a tax that you're not going to be even aware of.
Very cool.
So I can even give you like the titles and links to Amazon if you want, because right now I actually just mentioned titles or authors. Yeah.
Perfect, Alex. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for making
Obrigado.
time. De nada.
De nada.
Muito mestre.
Um prazer.
Very cool. Thanks.
Good. Bye.
Cool. That was awesome. Thanks so much.
De nada.
De nada. You've been to Brazil?
I've been to Portugal.
Nice.
So it's not Brazil, but you still get the obrigado.
We make a lot of fun of them first because they colonized us, but also the accent is so different, right?
Yeah, it's different. I mean, especially in southern Portugal, it's so difficult sometimes to actually understand.